The sun dipped low over Williams Lake, casting a golden glow across the Chilcotin Hills. It was mid-July, and the heat of the day lingered like a warm embrace. The light painted the landscape in vibrant hues of orange and pink, reflecting off the still waters of the lake. The air was thick with the scent of pine and the sweet aroma of wildflowers, mingling with the earthy undertones of the forest. As the last rays of sunlight stretched across the sky, the temperature began to drop ever so slightly. A gentle breeze carried the sounds of nature, a distant bird call, the rustle of leaves, as if whispering secrets of the wild. The landscape was alive, each element adding to the symphony of the evening. This was nature at its most expressive, a moment suspended in time. The light, the scent, the temperature all combined to create a sensory tapestry. It was the perfect backdrop for an adventure, a promise of the unknown waiting along the open road. Mark and Mich stood beside their gleaming Harley, dwarfed by the vastness of the natural world around them. Mark, tall and rugged, exuded a calm confidence, his eyes reflecting the resolve of an experienced traveler. Mich, slightly shorter, with a mischievous glint in her eye, was the embodiment of enthusiasm and curiosity. They were more than just travelers, they were explorers at heart, eager to embrace whatever the journey had in store. The heat of the day clung to their leather jackets, a reminder of the sun-soaked roads they'd already traversed. Yet as they prepared to set off, there was a sense of anticipation, a thrill born from the unknown. Their bond was palpable, forged through countless rides and shared experiences. Each was attuned to the other's rhythms, understanding the subtle cues and silent communications that made them a formidable team. As they donned their helmets and revved the engine, the roar of the Harley was a declaration of their shared purpose, adventure. With a final look at the glowing horizon, they mounted their bike. The adventure awaited, and the road stretched north, calling them towards the untamed wilds of British Columbia. The Harley roared to life, its engine a deep, resonant thunder that vibrated through the air. Mark and Mich leaned into the ride as they sped north up Highway 97. The road unfurled before them, a ribbon of asphalt flanked by dense forests of spruce and pine. The rhythmic hum of the bike was a comforting constant, a heartbeat within the vast wilderness. The air was filled with the scents of the forest, a rich tapestry of pine needles, damp earth, and distant wildflowers. As they rode, the light shifted, casting long shadows across the highway. The sun, now a fiery orb on the horizon, painted the sky in gradients of purple and blue. The wind whipped past, a cool contrast to the lingering heat. It carried the sounds of the wild, the distant call of an eagle, the rustling leaves, as if nature itself was singing them a lullaby. The bike's engine purred beneath them, a steady companion on their nocturnal journey. As the daylight faded, the forest closed in, the trees standing tall like silent sentinels. The road was theirs alone, a solitary path through the heart of the wilderness, where every sound and shadow took on new significance. The forest was alive with the sounds of night, a symphony of crickets, frogs, and the occasional distant howl. Mark and Mich rode on, their senses heightened by the enveloping darkness. Suddenly, the beam of their headlights caught a shadow moving across the road. It was a black bear, its eyes gleaming in the artificial light. The bear paused, momentarily startled by the intrusion. Mark and Mich slowed to a cautious stop, their hearts pounding with the thrill of the unexpected encounter. The air was thick with tension, a reminder of the power and unpredictability of nature. They watched as the bear lumbered off into the underbrush, disappearing into the night. The brief encounter left an indelible mark, a testament to the wildness of the land and its inhabitants. It was a moment of connection, a silent acknowledgement of the shared earth. The encounter left them more alert, more aware of the world around them. As they resumed their journey, the darkness seemed deeper, the forest more mysterious. They rode on, the thrill of the ride mingling with the awareness of unseen dangers lurking just beyond the edge of the light. The road stretched on, a narrow strip of possibility cutting through the vast expanse of wilderness. Riding at night brought its own set of challenges and perils. The darkness cloaked the world in mystery, turning familiar sights into shadowy shapes and honestly amplifying every sound. Mark and Mich were acutely aware of the risks inherent in their journey. The possibility of wildlife, deer, moose, or another bear, crossing their path was a constant concern. The isolation of the highway, miles from the nearest settlement, added to the sense of vulnerability. Road signs warned of curves and wildlife crossings, their reflective surfaces gleaming ominously in the headlights. Each twist and turn of the road demanded their full attention, their focus unbroken by the monotony of the ride. The Harley's growl was a comforting presence, a reminder of their shared resolve. Yet amid the tension there was exhilaration. The night was alive, filled with possibilities and the promise of adventure. They rode on, embracing the unknown with both caution and courage, their spirits undaunted by the challenges of the road. The Caribou River lay ahead, a shimmering ribbon of water cutting through the forest. The bridge loomed in the darkness, its steel structure a testament to human ingenuity amid nature's grandeur. As they crossed, the river below whispered secrets in its endless flow. The forest closed in around them, dense and impenetrable. The scent of damp earth and moss hung in the air, mingling with the cool, clean smell of the river. The sound of rushing water was a constant companion, a soothing backdrop to the ride. The bridge's metallic echoes faded as they returned to the forest road. The world seemed to hold its breath, the silence broken only by the occasional call of a night bird or the rustle of an unseen creature. It was a place of enchantment, where the boundaries between reality and myth seemed to blur. Crossing the river felt like a passage into another realm, a deeper immersion into the wilderness. Mark and Mich rode on, the river's mystery lingering in their minds, a reminder of the journey's depth and the beauty of the land they traversed. Beyond the river, the landscape transformed into a wetland, a tapestry of reeds and shallow pools glistening under the moonlight. The air was cooler here, infused with the sweet scent of water lilies and the earthy musk of the marsh. The land was alive with the chorus of frogs and the gentle lapping of water against the shore. As they rode through the wetlands, an owl swooped silently overhead, its wings a ghostly blur against the night sky. It was a fleeting glimpse, a reminder of the hidden life thriving in the shadows. The owl's call echoed, a haunting melody that lingered long after the bird had vanished. The wetlands held an eerie beauty, each ripple and rustle an invitation to explore deeper. The road was more treacherous here, its surface slick with moisture and debris. Mark and Mich navigated with care, their senses attuned to the landscape's many voices. They pressed on, the wetlands fading into the night behind them. The owl's call and the scent of the water lingered, fragments of a world both alien and familiar. The journey continued, each moment a tapestry of the wild's many mysteries. The lights of Kersley appeared suddenly, twinkling like distant stars against the dark horizon. Here civilization provided a gentle embrace, a reminder of human presence amid nature's vastness. The small settlement was a beacon of warmth and safety in the enveloping night. As they rode through the town, the sounds of the Harley echoed off quaint buildings, a stark contrast to the forest's silence. The air carried the familiar scents of wood smoke and cooking, comforting reminders of home and community. It was a brief respite, a moment to gather strength before the road called them onward. Kersley's presence was reassuring, yet the allure of the open road was undeniable. Mark and Mich paused only long enough to refuel, exchanging smiles that spoke of shared adventure and unspoken understanding. The night was young, and the journey far from over. With renewed energy, they left Kersley behind, the glow of civilization fading into the distance. The open road awaited, filled with potential and promise, leading them toward the next chapter of their nocturnal odyssey. The road stretched ahead, a dark ribbon leading into the unknown. Mark and Mich rode on, the Harley's engine a steady purr beneath them. The night held its own magic, a blend of shadow and light, of dreams and reality. The promise of Prince George lay ahead, a distant goal that guided their path. The journey was far from over, with risks and challenges yet to face. The open road was a canvas, each mile an opportunity for discovery and wonder. The darkness was not an obstacle, but an invitation, a call to explore the unseen world that lay beyond the edge of the headlights. As they rode, the air grew cooler, the scents of the forest mingling with the crisp promise of dawn. The thrill of the ride was intoxicating, a blend of freedom and focus that sharpened their senses and quickened their hearts. The road was theirs, a pathway to adventure and possibility. Mark and Mich rode on, the night alive with potential and promise. The journey was their own, a shared adventure that stretched beyond the horizon into the heart of the wilderness and the warmth of the unknown. They embraced the night, knowing that each turn of the wheel brought them closer to the next discovery, the next story waiting to be told. Leaving Kersley behind feels like slipping back into the wild's grip. The brief scattering of houses, the amber glow of a lone street lamp, and the sense of civilization quickly vanish in the Harley's rear-view mirrors. Ahead, Highway 97 stretches forward into blackness, lined with the kind of forest that feels bottomless, where shadows aren't just shadows, they're hiding places. Mark steadies the Harley at a comfortable cruising speed, the big V-twin engine sending a low vibration through both of them. Mich presses her knees into the sides of the bike, her arms wrapped snugly around his waist. The wind has cooled noticeably since they left Williams Lake. It bites now, sharp and resin-scented, tugging at her jacket collar and finding any seam it can sneak through. The headlight pierces the dark in a bright, narrow cone. Beyond it, nothing is certain. Out here, night rides aren't just rides, they're wagers against the wild. The road is shared not just with the occasional semi-truck or late-night traveller, but with bears, deer, moose, foxes and caribou that roam freely, unbothered by the concept of a highway. Mich watches the road signs flash past in the beam. Moose crossing, next 12 kilometers watch for wildlife. These aren't polite warnings, they're the kind of reminders that stick in the back of your mind, especially when you know that a moose can stand taller than your handlebars and weigh more than the bike and both riders combined. The Harley's pipes growl low as Mark leans them into a sweeping curve. To the right, Mich catches the glint of water, Dragon Lake, its dark surface holding the faintest reflection of the starlit sky. She can almost feel the cool dampness radiating off it as they pass, a silent mirror lying beside the road. She squeezes Mark's waist lightly, a little unspoken signal that she's still soaking in every detail, every moment. Once past the lake, the forest returns with a vengeance, dense walls of spruce, pine and trembling aspen crowding the edges of the pavement. The tall trees sway faintly in the night breeze, their motion just visible in the reach of the headlight. Here and there, a moth darts into the beam and vanishes just as quickly. The dangers feel closer now. A deer could leap from behind any roadside bush. A black bear could lumber across at its own pace, and a moose could appear, seemingly materializing out of nothing. Mark's posture says it all. Slightly forward, shoulders firm, eyes scanning not just the road but the edges of the dark. The miles roll under them. Every now and then the occasional house appears, a lone porch light casting a yellow square on gravel, then disappears as quickly as it came. On one stretch, the headlights catch the faint movement of something low to the ground, too small to be a deer. A fox, its coat catching a quick glint of orange, darts across the road, tail straight out like an arrow. Mark instinctively eases off the throttle, then accelerates smoothly once it's gone. A few kilometers later, a set of distant high beams begins to grow in the opposite lane. A semi-truck thunders past, the blast of air and engine noise buffeting them hard enough that Mich grips Mark's waist tighter. The darkness feels deeper in its wake, as though the truck momentarily sucked all the light out of their surroundings. They pass a small pull-out with a weathered sign, Kersleydale Landing 1 kilometer. Even if it's a point of interest, there's no thought of stopping. At this hour, places like that are lonelier than they are scenic. The Harley's steady thrum becomes a kind of meditation. Engine, wind, road. Mich feels each vibration through her boots and legs, the pulse of the bike matched to the steady rhythm of Mark's breathing. Every so often she glances to the side, catching glimpses of the night sky. Out here, away from town lights, the stars are sharp and countless, spilling across the heavens in rivers of silver. The road into Quesnel starts to hint at civilization again. The forest occasionally breaks into small clearings, where gravel driveways cut off into the dark toward unseen houses. A faint smell of wood smoke drifts in. Someone's late-night fire. Then, sudden movement. Mark's head tilts slightly, eyes locked ahead. A shape steps into the very edge of the headlight's beam. It's a deer, delicate and ghost-like, frozen mid-step as if caught between two decisions. Mark slows slightly, steady hands on the bars. The deer blinks, then turns back toward the trees, melting into the night without a sound. Mich exhales a breath she didn't realize she'd been holding. Out here, one wrong move from an animal like that could mean a wreck, especially at night. The close call adds a thin layer of tension to the ride, but Mark's calm control keeps them steady. Before long, they pass a sign announcing Quesnel 10 kilometers. The distance isn't much, but the darkness seems to stretch time, every kilometer its own small challenge. The forest begins to thin slightly, and the occasional roadside business, dark and closed, appears in the headlights' glow. Crossing the Quesnel River Bridge feels like a milestone. The lights of the town reflect faintly on the water's surface, breaking the endless black they've been riding through. The steady thrum of the Harley echoes differently here, bouncing off the steel and water before settling back into the hum of the road. Soon the first real signs of life greet them. Streetlights, clusters of buildings, a gas station with its forecourt still lit, though the store is closed. Mark guides them into the quieter lanes toward the north end, where the highway will continue its climb toward Prince George later. For now, they don't stop. Quesnel is a marker on the journey, not the destination. Mich leans forward slightly, her helmet close to Mark's, the unspoken understanding between them clear. The night is far from over, and the road ahead still belongs to the dark, the wild, and the hum of the Harley's engine. Leaving Quesnel behind at this hour is like, stepping away from the campfire into the black edge of the woods. The brief comfort of streetlights and the hum of a few cars fades quickly, replaced by the Harley Davidson's steady growl and the long ribbon of Highway 97 unwinding north. Mark keeps the bike at a smooth cruising speed, his shoulders slightly hunched against the cooling night air. Mich rides close behind, her arms wrapped snugly around him, helmet visor down to block the wind that has sharpened since they crossed the Quesnel River. The air is different now, cleaner, colder, and heavy with the scent of fir and spruce, as though the forest has drawn in tighter around the road. Within minutes, the last of the town's lights are gone. The headlight becomes their only tether to the visible world, illuminating just enough of the road to see where they're going, but never far enough to see what might be coming. The forest on either side is thick and black, each tree trunk a silent sentinel. The darkness isn't empty, it feels watchful. The first warning sign comes quickly. Moose crossing, next 15 kilometers. It's not a suggestion. Out here, moose own the road at night. One step from a full-grown bull into their path would be catastrophic. Mark eases his speed slightly, scanning the shoulders with quick, deliberate sweeps of his eyes. Every sound is amplified in the night. The Harley's engine thrum seems louder against the quiet backdrop. The wind tugs at their jackets in constant rhythm. Somewhere in the forest, a branch cracks, sharp, sudden, but disappears into the roar of the bike. A pair of headlights appears in the distance ahead, growing until a semi-truck thunders past in the opposite lane. The blast of wind rattles Mich's helmet, and then they're back in darkness, the taillights vanishing like sparks into the void. They ride on, the highway stretching endlessly forward. Mich tilts her head to look past Mark's shoulder. In the headlights' reach, the white lines of the road stand out crisp against the black asphalt, but beyond them is a void. A fox could be there, or a bear, or a deer waiting to dash. Every shadow in the ditch feels like it could move. The road rises slightly, cresting a hill. From here, Mich can see a faint silver shimmer to the right, a glimpse of the Fraser River, catching starlight on its slow, dark surface. It disappears again behind the trees, leaving only the smell of damp earth and water in the cool air. Suddenly, movement. Mark tenses slightly under her arms. To their left, just at the edge of the light, something large is standing in the ditch. Its eyes reflect pale green, high, far above the ground. Moose, not in their path, but close enough to matter. Mark keeps his line steady, resisting the urge to swerve. The animal turns its massive head toward them, ears flicking. The headlight glances off the sweep of its antlers before it turns away, stepping back into the forest. Mich's heart pounds, her grip tightening. Even a momentary change in its direction could have been enough to send them into disaster. She doesn't speak. There's nothing to say but to keep riding. The road narrows slightly through a stretch of old-growth forest, the trees arching overhead. The air here is colder, almost damp, and it smells of moss and rain-soaked bark. Mark keeps them centered, the bike's suspension working smoothly over these subtle dips and rises. They pass the occasional gravel turn-off leading to hidden homes or camps. Most are marked by faded signs and mailboxes, barely catching the headlight before disappearing again. The forest, well, it swallows everything quickly. In one curve, Mich sees something small dart into the road. A rabbit, ears flat, sprinting across in a blur. Mark eases the throttle just enough to avoid startling it, and it vanishes into the underbrush on the other side. Small things like that are harmless enough, but they're also reminders. Anything can cross the road at any time. The night grows colder. Mich can feel the drop in temperature through her jacket sleeves, the wind pressing more insistently. Her hands shift slightly at Mark's waist, just, seeking a bit of warmth. He responds with the smallest shift of his posture, an unspoken reassurance that he knows she's there, that they're in this stretch together. A cluster of road signs appears. Hickson, 17 kilometers, watch for falling rock, wildlife corridor, high risk. It's almost laughable, like they needed the reminder after the moose. The darkness here feels heavier, the kind that could hide entire herds of deer without a trace until the last second. The trees press in close, their trunks flashing in and out of the headlight like pillars. Then, from the left, two shapes burst toward the road. Deer. Mark reacts instantly, easing off the throttle without braking hard enough to throw the bike off balance. The first deer clears the road in 2 bounds. The second stops halfway across, frozen in the light. For a fraction of a second, Mich sees every detail, its ears swiveling, its breath visible in the cold air before it bolts the rest of the way. Her heart is in her throat. She tightens her arms around Mark and he nods once, almost imperceptibly. They keep moving. The Harleys growl, steady and controlled. The kilometers tick by. They pass another dark pullout, this one with a faded sign for Cottonwood River Park. In daylight, it's probably scenic, a place for picnics and fishing. At midnight, it's just a patch of deeper darkness off the side of the highway. Finally, faint points of light appear ahead. Hickson, small, scattered and modest. But in this night, it feels like a beacon. The first buildings are quiet roadside homes, a few with porch lights casting little pools of gold. They pass a gas station with its pumps dark, a diner long closed and a few trucks parked nose to nose in gravel lots. As they roll through, Mich can smell wood smoke again, stronger this time, curling out from somewhere close. A dog barks once in the distance. The sense of danger loosens slightly here, but it doesn't vanish. Beyond Hickson, the road will dive back into the same kind of black forest they've just survived. Mark keeps them moving through the quiet main stretch, the Harley's pipes rumbling softly in the sleeping town. Somewhere up ahead, Prince George waits, but for now, Hickson is a small victory. Proof that they're still on course, still safe, still together in the deep night of mid-July. The night had swallowed the road whole by the time Mich and Mark rolled out of Hickson. The last faint glow of the horizon was long gone, and now there was only black, thick, heavy black, pressing in on both sides of the highway. Mark leaned slightly forward, his hands steady on the Harley's bars, eyes scanning every stretch of pavement that fell into the cone of their single headlight. Mich, pressed close behind him, could feel the faint, rhythmic thud of his heartbeat through his leather jacket, a steady drum that kept her tethered to reality. The bike's engine hummed its low, constant song, a deep bass that reverberated in her bones. Every time Mark shifted slightly, she adjusted, her gloved hands tightening around his waist. Out here, in the true depths of night, they were just two small souls on a strip of asphalt cutting through the vast wilderness of northern British Columbia. This was the darkest leg of the ride yet. The highway from Hickson to Prince George was less than 60 kilometers, but it felt like a gauntlet. The road was hemmed in by towering spruce and pine, their black silhouettes rising like the spines of some enormous prehistoric creature. The stars above were brilliant, so many that the sky looked dusted with sugar, but the forest canopy often blocked them out completely, plunging them back into a tunnel of darkness. Mich kept catching glimpses of shapes in the shadows. Maybe they were nothing, just stumps or rocks, but maybe they were something alive. Out here, a wrong guess could be deadly. She knew the statistics, she'd read them before their trip. Northern British Columbia was prime territory for moose, deer, and the occasional caribou to wander onto the highway. At night, their dark coats made them almost invisible until it was too late. Moose especially were terrifying, their bodies so tall that a collision could shear off a rider at chest height. And there were bears, too, roaming freely at this time of year, their bulk low to the ground, but equally lethal if startled. Mark must have been thinking the same thing. She could feel it in the way his shoulders were held. Not stiff, but alert, like a predator ready to react at any second. He kept the bike at a cautious speed, fast enough to keep the rhythm of the road, but slow enough to leave time to dodge anything that might appear from the blackness. Every so often, a green highway sign would flash in their headlight, faded paint, reflective only in patches, reminding them how far they had to go. The names were familiar but ghostly in this hour. Stoner, 27 kilometers, Pineview, 45 kilometers, Prince George, 58 kilometers. The towns felt like promises whispered in the dark. They passed the tiny settlement of Stoner without even realizing it at first. The welcome sign appeared suddenly, lit for half a second before it vanished behind them, swallowed by trees. Stoner was barely more than a cluster of homes along the road. No neon, no gas stations, no late-night diners. Just a few lights in windows and maybe the faint sound of a dog barking somewhere out of sight. The isolation made Mich feel both small and alive in a way she couldn't explain. There was no crowd, no city noise, only the low growl of the Harley and the sighing wind in the trees. Somewhere after Stoner, they hit one of the blackest stretches yet. The trees grew so thick on either side that it felt like the headlight was just barely keeping the darkness from swallowing them. Mich found herself holding her breath, every nerve on high alert. She thought about how many animals might be in those woods right now, watching, waiting. She imagined glowing eyes just beyond the edge of the light. A sudden movement on the right shoulder made her heart lurch, just a flash of motion, low and quick. Mark's left hand flicked slightly, loosening his grip on the throttle as he prepared to react, but the creature, whatever it was, vanished into the trees without crossing the road. Mich's pulse stayed high for a good minute after. Then finally a sign for Pineview. It wasn't a big place, more of a rural community just outside Prince George. But in this endless night it felt like a marker of progress. A few more faint porch lights appeared off the highway, and they even passed a small country store, dark for the night. Somewhere beyond the trees, she knew, were farms and open fields, but they were invisible in the black. The air was cooler now. Mid-July or not, the northern night could cut deep, especially at highway speeds. Mich tucked herself closer against Mark, grateful for the heat of his body through his jacket. His steady posture, the sure way he handled the bike, made her feel as safe as she could feel out here. And then, just as her mind had started to drift, the first distant glow appeared on the horizon. At first it was barely noticeable, a smudge of light far ahead, but with every minute it grew. Prince George was out there, waiting. The last few kilometers stretched endlessly. The glow turned into distinct pools of streetlight, into billboards advertising gas stations, motels, and late-night eats. The forest began to thin, replaced by the first signs of the city industrial buildings, rail tracks, and the faint smell of wood pulp from the mills. Mark didn't slow until they reached the edges of Prince George proper. The highway widened, streetlights flickering on either side. Mich felt her muscles start to unclench. The darkness no longer pressed so close. Civilization had returned. By the time they rolled into the Sandman Hotel parking lot, it was just shy of midnight. The Harley's engine rumbled into silence, leaving an almost shocking stillness in its wake. Mich swung her leg off, feeling the stiffness in her knees from hours on the bike. Mark stretched his shoulders, then gave her that half smile that said, "We made it."
Like a glove.
Is this only one spot left for us?
Huh?
Only one spot left.
Right here for us.
Wow.
Praise the Lord. As always.
This
Lord
has
delivered.
been a very interesting ride. We've
More than
had
that.
so many challenges with the
What
garden.
challenges? We had one challenge.
Which one was it?
Just making sure we made it here. That's all. In
Well,
the middle of the night.
Potential challenges, which
Oh,
did not
There's a
become a
potential
challenge.
every day.
Yeah. But
I'm
thank
talking
God.
real challenges, like we didn't tag a moose, we didn't hit a deer,
Yeah.
no gigantic caribou jumped out in front of us and killed us in the middle of the night. Not ideal. Not
Yeah,
ideal.
and we got gas, so we didn't have to worry
Yeah,
about.
praise the Lord for that.
That was a big one. That's
that-
why.
that
That's why I
was-
said
That
potential challenge.
was well, no
That because if you didn't listen to that
prompting.
or the prompting saying get gas right now, we'll be stranded.
Yeah,
There'll be no doubt.
we would be because we're
There was no gas station open.
past that. Soon
No
as we
gas
left Williams
station.
Lake, that was it.
That was it. No gas
And that
station.
was just a guess on mine. I mean, I just told the prompts like, get gas because they're only 2.5 hours. That's probably the safest thing to do. And the only reason I did that is because I looked at the time and went, well, we're not going to even get there till midnight. And these hillbilly towns all lock up at 7, 8 o'clock. So, hell no. Let's get some gas, Jack. So where do we check in at?
At the front to the
I'm
left.
going to let the lady know we're here.
Okay. Thank God. Guys, this has been a trip. my gosh. So many things could have happened on this journey, but thank God. Thank God. Thank God. We made it. We made it safely, and there was one parking spot left, one. And we got it for ourselves. And now we can also go eat some food. And it's after midnight, which means it's late for us to be eating. But guess what? There's a place that we normally go eat, and we'll be able to eat some food. So, man, it's been good. And as we talked about before, you know, there have been situations whereby we were not well, but thank God, you know, we're okay now. So we're good. All is well? Everything's good?
Yeah, everything's great. I just walked in and I just said, like I own the place, I said, guess who showed up?
And then, so what are we doing now?
We're doing what we'd normally do. We get off the bike, we take our gear, we go inside, and then I'm going to go down to Denny's and eat every single piece of cheesecake in there. Woo! Because it's open 24 hours.
That's
and
great.
now we're on BC time, because this is like almost 4 a.m. for us in the morning on Ontario time, but we're so flipped around on BC time, we're just yawning at 12.
Yeah.
So, as we like to say, let's keep it real, and we kept it real tonight, so praise the Lord.
Bye.